the way that I interacted with other people and leaving them better off as I'm selling an empty container at the container store, as I'm hucking freight, as I'm cleaning the bathrooms at night. I wasn't just going to clean that toilet. I was going to make that toilet sparkle. I wasn't just going to wipe down the divider, the stainless steel divider between the urinals. I wanted to see my reflection in it, because that would be a reflection of how I felt about the opportunity I was given.
Welcome, everyone, to Talk is Cheap, the Fight Against Mediocrity podcast. I'm extremely excited for today's guest, Kevin Clayson. I think he has one of the greatest names on earth. I may be a little bit biased, but Kevin is a successful published author and one of the co-founders of a one-of-a-kind real estate investment company called Done For You Real Estate USA, with over 4,000 homes transacted, more than 100 million in client equity growth, nearly $500 million of client real estate transaction volume, and with more than 2,000 client properties currently under management. Done For You Real Estate USA has set itself apart with its undeniable track record. After 14 successful years in turnkey investments, Done For You Real Estate has established its place in a crowded market by providing their ability to weather and thrive in any economic market condition. Done For You was recently awarded the 2020 Build Award for the best home investment advisory firm in the country because of its track record. Kevin's book, Flip the Gratitude Switch, has been praised as one of the most important life success books ever and a foundational piece of literature, and has sold in more than 24 countries. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, man, thank you so much. And you're right. You do have a good name, and so do I. Do you know what our name means? Do you know what our name means?
I've looked it up before, but I can't remember. What does it mean?
Okay, I'm sure there's all kinds of different versions, but the one that I've anchored to is handsome.
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
Yes. So we are handsome. You could just call this the Handsome Show, right? Because it's you, it's me. This is the handsome episode.
This is as handsome as it'll ever get. That's awesome. Hey, well, it's funny how we met. I want to share with the audience how we met. So my little sister, she just graduated from high school. She messages me one day and she's like, "Hey, Kevin, I found someone you need to have on your podcast." And I just listened to what she says. So I'm like, okay, who is it? Like, let's do it. She's like, "Kevin Clayson, I just got his book. He's super awesome. Like, you need to reach out to him." And she sent me your Instagram bio. So that's how we got it set up. And I'm really grateful that she was able to do that.
Man, that is so cool. And will you tell your sister she's my hero? And tell her that she's amazing. And if she ever wants free copies of the book to give to friends or family, let me know, because I will send them to her. Because what a cool story. Like, I'm so thankful to her. Who does that? That's awesome, man. You got a good sister.
Yeah, she's awesome. And I don't even know if she listens to the podcast or not, but I'm sure she'll listen to this one. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. Hey, I love with podcasts, when we get started, I love hearing a little bit about the background of how you got where you are. What was your hero's journey like?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it a hero's journey. I know that's a term. I'm just kind of like a white, chubby, bald guy who's middle-aged and has crow's feet. You know what I'm saying? But I do have 3 kids and a wife, and I do have this business that we're running, which is kind of cool. And I did get a chance to write this book that's been in the world. And so I guess if that's part of a hero's journey, I guess I've got that story. But really, all it is, do you ever feel this way, Kev? Sometimes I feel like all I'm doing is I'm running through life trying to add value whenever and wherever I can. And it just seems that when you show up to the world that way, opportunities tend to find you. And then if you have an action-taking mindset and you take action when the opportunity presents itself, I guess after a number of years, you have a list of things that you've accomplished or accolades. But man, to me, I'm still just a kid from California who's trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. You know what I mean? Like that, you really feel. But yeah, I mean, the background is I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and lived there until I served a mission for my church. I went to Germany. I got back from Germany and I decided to go to school. I went to Brigham Young University. And I didn't know what I wanted to study. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm supposed to get a college degree because that's what people do. And I'm like, BYU seems like a decent place. So I go there and I didn't know what to study. I take German classes, and I didn't know what my major was. And eventually I took a political science class, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And so I declared political science as my major, figured I'd go be an attorney. But I'm a big believer in God, and God knew that I was not going to be a good attorney. So thankfully, he put stuff in my life because he knew that I would number one, be bored and probably just not smart enough to be a good attorney. But I graduated from BYU thinking I'd be an attorney, and life led me down all these crazy paths through divorce, through a career that I thought was a career, until I realized I didn't feel good about what I was showing up and doing every day, which led me to making a leap to being self-employed as a mortgage broker, which led to us starting this real estate company. And we've had this real estate company for 15 years. And over that time, I've learned these things that I felt like I needed to put into a book. And so I wrote a book. And so now, you know, you already heard the bio. That's kind of where I'm at today. I live in Orem, Utah with my 3 amazing kids. I got a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. I have an amazing wife that I've been with for 15 years, and we get to run this incredible company, Done For You Real Estate, and we get to serve people all over the country every single day, relentlessly, and it's just amazing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Hero's journey isn't meant, I mean, it sounds like hero's journey should be like this perfect journey, but hero's journey, I think, means it's imperfect along the way, but it builds you up along the way, which is exactly what your journey is. Every trial led to another opportunity or a learning experience. One of the things that, well, before I ask this, tell us about your company. What are the services you provide? How does that work?
Yeah. So, you know, back in 2007 was when we started our company, and we kind of started our company.
Great time to get into real estate.
Yeah, exactly. We started our company in response to this sort of plague that we saw in society, which was tons of people spending tens of thousands of dollars on real estate education only to never go and do real estate, right?
Okay.
And we're like, wait a second, this, you know, you and I are both big fans of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Well, the book does amazing things, but then there's other books like it, and there's other gurus that come into town and do seminars, and they have a whole method of, you know, selling you a thing at the back of the room that leads to a 3-day event, that in that 3-day event they're trying to upsell you to another thing and to another thing, and at the end of the day you've spent 50 grand and you're no closer to doing your first real estate deal, right? Other than you've got some information and a list of contacts to maybe reach out to, but you're still the one who's going to have to go look at all the homes, put in the offers, find the team, make sure that the team is good, do all the work, put up all the risk. And we thought there's just got to be a better way. And so we started our company to be a response to that industry. And we said, instead of having people spend money on real estate education, what if they just put it towards the real estate? What if we could just go do it for them? What if instead of having to go find a team and go get educated and all that, we just did it for them? We find them the home, we get it financed for them, we get it insured for them, we get it fixed up for them, we get it rented out for them, and they still make 100% of the profit, 100% of the cash flow, 100% of the appreciation and tax benefits. And we make our money through the transactions because we own a mortgage brokerage and an insurance company and a real estate brokerage. And that's what we've done. And so now we're 15 years in, we've done over $600 million in real estate with clients from all over the country. And we have been able to change and literally shift people's lives bit by bit, one property at a time. And the real estate we do, we always say we play Moneyball real estate, right? We go hit real estate singles. We don't do flips. We don't do commercial. We don't do multifamily. We do simple and conservative single family residential real estate in some of the best markets in the country, where we do the vast majority of the work for you, because busy and successful people should be owning and managing or being able to benefit from real estate, but they don't have time to be busy and successful real estate investors because they're busy and successful in their own right. So we come in and do the vast majority of the heavy lifting and the work, make our money through the transaction, and transfer that massive benefit to our clients. And for that, we've been able to go sustain and grow our company through all of the ups and downs, regardless of the economy. And today, you know, we're able to really help a lot of people continue to do that and perpetuate that model. And it's been awesome. We're not a huge company. You know, we got about 26 W-2 employees, plus our teams physically in the markets that are helping our clients. You know, we've got about 1,500 clients spread across the country. We currently have probably about 3,500 homes under management for our clients. and we just keep rolling. It's awesome. We have a podcast called Replace Your Income. We got a book coming out later this year called Micro Wins to Millions. So it's just been awesome, man. That's a little bit about the company anyway.
Dude, that is so cool. The two things I love about that story is, number one, it started from the true, sincere desire to help people. Like that was the true motive. It wasn't, hey, we just want to go sell stuff and make a ton of money.
For
We
sure.
want to really help people, and then the money came. And it's super innovative. I think you're ahead of your time. I think most people are just finally catching on to this. People don't want to do it. They just want it done for them.
Yeah, that's right. Most people, like, I'm not a real estate investor, but I love what real estate investing can do for my life, right? And there's a lot of people like me. Like we've got one of our clients. He's the host of maybe the most listened to conservative talk show in the country on radio. And he's so busy, right? Like he's got all of this stuff going on. He's the coolest dude, and he has his podcast and everything else. And he's got a TV show, and he's just got a lot going on. But he's like, we started to advertise with him because we just wanted to have a national audience. And he called me up after about a year, and he's like, Kev, look, I love reading your spots. You guys are amazing. I've heard from your clients. You guys are awesome. I am tired of talking about you. I want to own real estate. And he's he's doing 5 hours of original content every day. When's he going to find time to go? And he lives in Manhattan, right? And so living in New York, what are you going to go buy a big building? Like that's not going to happen. Right. And so we've been able to help he and his brothers do a bunch of real estate. And he's such a perfect example because he's really good at what he does. He's a busy and successful guy, but he doesn't have to be the one doing all the work, but he can still get all that benefit. And so we're really good at working with doctors and dentists and, just business owners and entrepreneurs and, people like that, but also school teachers and engineers and, people like that just want the benefit of real estate without all the headache. And that's kind of what, and that's been so cool for us because it just means we get a chance to make a real impact in people's financial lives. And we get to do it in a way that is really fulfilling for us and allows us. Can I tell you one of the coolest things is?
Yeah,
dude, we have 26 W-2 employees. We pay them not just a living wage, but a healthy wage. And they all do great work. And then you add to that the real estate agents and the property managers and the rehab crews and the markets. There's so much. And then you add to the fact that our clients are really doing well. And then they're giving homes to tenants who have a place to live. Like the power of one investment property done right is a force multiplier. A lot of times people don't think of real estate that way, but we definitely do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You went to rehab, but then if you go a step further, the suppliers of those materials, then the countries that made those materials, the people who invented those materials, and it's a trickle effect. That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's awesome. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think to your point, building a team and paying them a healthy wage. I don't know. I mean, maybe you have an opinion on this, but so many people talk about, hey, just outsource everything to the Philippines or wherever. And sometimes I think, yeah, that's great. You save a buck, but whatever, but you don't get that culture that you guys probably have at your company.
100%. And you know what our primary culture is? I am so proud of our culture. Our culture is we leave people better off than we find them. Inside of every interaction, inside of every transaction. That's what we want to do. And if the customer experience and the individual's journey is the thing that's the most important, now it's not about outsourcing to the Philippines. It's about how do we make it work so that we are putting the customer as the primary focus, not our bottom line. And by the way, that is a big shift. A lot of companies, right? You want to stay in the black. And so I'm a big Disney fan. Okay. Like I love Disneyland and Disney World. And I am not a super huge fan of some of the moves Bob Chapek's made, right? Who's now the CEO of Disney. I feel like it's losing some of its heart and soul, right? Which was about the magical experience. And now it's about how much can we get these ideal people to spend? And by the way, that's a good marketing principle, right? How do you get your raving fans to continue to buy your stuff, right? Assuming that it's filled with value. So I get that. But when that's your primary focus and it's not how do we provide such an exceptional experience that they feel almost compelled to want to spend $29 on a stupid churro or whatever it is, right? But so that is really, really important to us. And have you ever read the book? Maybe you have, Building a Story Brand. Have you ever heard of that book?
I have it here. I need to read it. I haven't read it yet.
It's awesome. And I mean, what they do, it's a marketing book, but what's cool about it is they talk about, most companies sort of beat their chest, stand up front and say, look at what we can do for you. And he's like, that's fine, but that's about the company. What it needs to be is about the true hero of the story, which is your customer, which is your client. You are not Luke Skywalker as a company. You are Yoda. Your client, your customer, they're Luke Skywalker. Let them be the hero. How do you guide them through their journey? How do you make sure that they have as smooth of a process, but they're learning if they need to learn, but they're the ones who are getting the glory. It's not about you getting the glory. It's about your customer having that experience and going through their journey. You just get to be the one that is you're their Yoda, that I think is really good. You're not Frodo, you're Gandalf, right? How do you help guide them and add and assist to the process? But it's not about you and what you can accomplish as a company.
Yeah, and I love that. It's easier said than done, I think, because you're saying, like, instead of saying, hey, we're so good, our XYZ is the best ever, you shift it and say, hey, look at Bob, what he was able to do with our product. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I mean, so if you were to go to our website, okay, and our website is dfy-realestate.com, right? If you go there, what you're going to see is I spent probably, like a week or 2 weeks on the only thing, just what's above the fold. And here's what it says: create real income with simple and conservative real estate investing done for you. So what we're saying with that statement, we're saying we can help you create real income with simple and conservative real estate, but it's positioned in, you need to create real income with simple and conservative real estate by having it done for you, right? And then the little subtitle is creating real income with simple and conservative investment properties, maybe easier than you think. Schedule a call. Right? So now I could do that same page and I could say, we help you create real income with real estate investing, and schedule a call so we can show you how. Well, that's kind of about, like, here's what we do for you. But instead, it's what you can do for you. And then we are sort of naturally the ones who can help facilitate that. And so here's another example. There's a right below the fold, I have these 3 little call outs, right? And one of them is I used to have it say, what makes us different, right? How are we different as a company? But then I started thinking, I was like, well, no, it's not about us. It's about what this can represent to our clients. So I changed it to, what makes this different? See for yourself. And that's the shift, right? And so you're right. It does take time, and it does take a high degree of realizing, okay, how can I serve somebody at a high level and communicate that to them? But I'll tell you, do you know what the single most powerful word in marketing is? It might surprise you.
Single most powerful word in marketing.
Any ideas? There's 5 of them, but I'll give you the most important one. What?
Easy.
You.
Mm-hmm.
You, because you yourself, that is, if your copy, and I don't know who's listening out there. Hey, thanks for listening. You guys are awesome. But if you're out there marketing, or if you're out there positioning anything for somebody, we're all selling something. That's the reality, right? We're selling ourselves all the time. Yeah. We're selling ourselves to our spouse. You know this. I mean, you're a great seller. You teach people how to be awesome at sales. We're selling ourselves, but is it about the things you want, or about the ways that you can serve your spouse? Because if you serve your spouse to the level where they are very happy with your life together, a lot of the things that you want will likely come your way. But if you make it about them, it can completely shift it, right? So I think about this when it comes to my spouse, okay? My amazing wife, she's so cool. She's the best. She's like way prettier than I deserve. Anybody can go look at her picture and be like, yeah. I don't know how you did that, Kev, but I tricked her. I made her think I had money. I didn't at the time at all, but she thought I did. I'm just kidding. But so whenever we are in a tiff, an argument, something like that, I have this story that is a important story to me from a book of scripture that means a lot to me. And the overview of the story is that there was this group of people. They were sort of like really, they were people who loved war, right? And they kind of get converted to Christianity, and they decide we're not going to fight anymore. And they take all their weapons and stuff and they bury them in the ground, right? And they're like, I'm not going to fight anymore. And now there other people who do still like war come against them, and they end up slaying them all. But so maybe not a happy ending. But here's what I love about it. What those people did is, by laying down their weapons of war and laying down their shields, it took away their defensiveness, but also their offense, right? And what I think about that with my wife all the time. If we get into an argument, if I pull out my sword to make a point, or I throw up my shield to be defensive, that never works out well. So if I go, okay, if I can just make this conversation not about me, but about how do I benefit and serve her? How do I leave her better off? If I can bury the swords and get rid of the shields and focus on how can I serve her? What does she need right now? It's about her. It's not about me. And all of a sudden, there's a much quicker resolution. And frankly, there's usually something that I've done wrong anyway. It's just pride makes it so that we don't want to admit those things, right? And so I think of that all the time. So it happens in relationships, it happens in business. If we could just focus on them and we go, okay, how do I make it about them? That's why I think the word you is such a successful, why it's the most successful marketing tool. But there are 5 words that are the most successful in marketing. And I just open looped you. So if you'd like me to close the loop and share them with you, I'm happy to do so.
Let's do it.
Okay. And they actually turn into a sentence. Okay. It's you, guarantee free new sex. Those are the 5 most important marketing words. Like, think about it. When you see guarantee, your shields go down, right? When you see free, you may be a little like, what about, I don't know about, but you're interested, right? So, and then new always feels exciting, and then sex sells, so that's why it's in there. But you, yourself, those are the most important ones. And so when you're right, if anybody out there is writing sales copy, or even if you're in sales and you're talking to people, try to use their name and the word you and how it helps them as much as you can. And by the way, let me give you another little shift, right? So in my bio, okay, we were talking about how much we've done in real estate, right? I could say, look at the difference here. I could say we have transacted over $600 million as a company. Or I can say we've helped our clients transact over $600 million in successful real estate for them and for their families. Same statement, but all we did is we shifted the focus away from us and onto them. That's all it is, right? That's what you can do in sales copy that can make a big difference. And the cool thing is, if you're doing business the right way, that's the way it should be anyway, right? It shouldn't just be trickery. It shouldn't just be, I'm going to use you and I'm going to put it in position for them because I know I'm going to sell more. Look, that's important from the standpoint of like, we're trying to feed our families. But if you can really truly make it about them, leaving them better off, and that becomes the focus, and then that translates to your copy, that translates to your conversation, that translates to the way that you represent yourself and your company and your service. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think most people, if they don't truly believe in their product, they're not very good salespeople. They don't like it. They die inside. But when you truly believe and know that you're helping someone, it lights a fire inside of you and you feel obligated to share it with everybody.
100%. There's got to be passion. Without passion, there's no emotion. And if you don't sell with emotion, then all you're doing is you're sharing words, right? And gosh, you say it right. The name of this podcast, Talk is Cheap. Words by themselves mean nothing. Okay. I just had this conversation with my daughter. I've got this amazing 13-year-old daughter. She's the best. But she's also like a teenager. Okay. Kev, do you have kids?
We just adopted a newborn baby 3 weeks ago. So we have a 3-week-old and it's amazing. It's life-changing.
That is amazing. And congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Coolest thing ever. So, okay, I've got this 13-year-old. She's a sweetheart. And, her dad runs around talking about gratitude all the time, right? It's kind of a life mission of mine to help people see that active gratitude in the midst of life's difficulties and frustrations can quite literally shift the trajectory of moments, which can shift the trajectory of your life, right? We have the ability to find and be thankful even when the world is collapsing around us. And that's what my book, Flip the Gratitude Switch, is about, and what I go and speak on, fairly frequently. So I speak about that, right? But now I've got a daughter who's 13. If you've ever been around a teenager, they can be sweet, but they can also kind of be little jerks sometimes, and they can kind of be entitled, and they can kind of be selfish. It's just sort of, I think, part of the natural development. And she is not always the most thankful, right? There's times when she does great, and she's always very sweet, but there's times when she feels a little entitled. And I just, over the weekend, we had an experience where I was like, Brooklyn, we just had her birthday, and she didn't just like outright say thank you. And we kind of pointed that out, that we're like, we did this super cool thing for you. And it was like, I don't understand how you wouldn't express gratitude. And she kind of went, well, thank you. And I was like, okay, hold on. Let me be clear. The expression of gratitude is not enough. The expression of gratitude is nothing more than semantics and words. But what the expression of gratitude can do when it's powerful is be an outward manifestation of what's taking place inside, right? Gratitude can happen from within, and then it radiates outward. And so I told her, I said, if all you're going to do is say thank you, just for the practice of saying the words, don't say thank you. I don't want an empty thank you. Same thing happens with I'm sorry, right? Somebody could be like, sorry, right? And I mean, what does that really do for you, right? Yeah. Oh, my bad. Like, dude, we don't care. We're just saying the words because we think that the social sort of accepted way is we're just going to say a thing, and then somebody else is going to accept the thing that we said, and then we can just squash the whole affair, right? The reality is, those words should be a radiation of what's taking place from within. And so I shared that with her. I was like, sweetheart, if you can develop real, tangible gratitude, then the thank you flows from a place that's natural, not forced. It's not just words, and it's not just semantics. And I think that when it comes to the way that we sell, the way that we write copy, the way that we try to serve our clients, the way that we may write a book or promote a book or put something out there that's important to us, it has to be an outward expression of something that's happening inside, which goes back to your point. If you're not passionate about something, if you're selling something you don't believe in, and all you're doing is you're faking it till you make it, because that's like a thing that we say, and it may be applicable in some instances, but the reality is, how about we don't fake it till we make it? How about we find something that we don't have to fake it with in the first place, and then we make it, right? How about we try to lead with a genuine approach? And look, I understand there's going to be times when we're going to do things. And let me give you can I give you a real life example? Sorry, I'm just like riffing here. Can I give you an example of this? Yeah. So I have just started to share this story with people because, it was one of those things that maybe wasn't the most comfortable for me to talk about for a while. So we started our company in 2007. We had a pretty good run of success. And then, things started to get a little shaky. We hired some people that maybe weren't the best. I felt really uncomfortable with the direction of the company that my one partner, not my partner today, my partner today is the greatest dude ever, but this other partner of ours, he and I just didn't look at the world through the same lens. He looked at it through, how do I sell? I looked at it through, how do we serve, and then maybe generate revenue by serving. And he was like, I don't care, sell them anything. And so we didn't see eye to eye. I walked away from the company and kept my ownership, but I went and I wrote my book. It took me 2 years to write Flip the Gratitude Switch. We published it a couple months after we published it. I mean, we had a pretty good launch. We sold a number of books, but it wasn't enough to replace my income that I'd had as I was touring all over the country for our company and speaking everywhere, right? And man, within a couple months of publishing this, what to me felt like a life's work, I was sitting across the table from a representative from my church, getting a food order from my family to get us through the holidays because we had nothing left, right? The home went into foreclosure. I lost my car to repossession. I lost everything. I gambled it all. And what it meant is that in order for me to go and put food on the table, I had to set aside what I believed about myself in terms of a successful business owner. And I just got to put food on the table. So I went and I got a seasonal job at the Container Store for $13 an hour. Now, listen, that is quite a shift from what I had been doing, right?
This was like 5, 6 years ago or 8 years ago?
2016 to 2017.
Wow.
And so I went and I got a job in 2017 at the Container Store. Well, it was at the end of 2016, $13 an hour, hucking freight at 5 a.m. And I had already written and published the book. And I knew that we can be thankful in the midst of life's difficulties and frustrations. I knew that God had already given that to me. What I didn't know is now he was going to test me on it.
Yeah.
And so when I say that what we can do inside can then radiate outside, every day when I would get out of my car and I would walk up to that store, I was filled with gratitude for the opportunity to trade time for money. We talk often as entrepreneurs or as people that we don't want to trade time for money, right? But sometimes maybe there's a time in our life when we need to, and this was one for me. And so if I was going to trade time for money, instead of looking at it and going, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, I was like, I am so thankful for the opportunity to trade time for money, to put food on the table, to save my home from foreclosure and keep a roof over my kids' heads. That's amazing. And you know what? I was like, if I'm going to feel that way, I need to be that way, not just feel that way. And so the way that I interacted with other people and leaving them better off, as I'm selling an empty container at the Container Store, as I'm hucking freight, as I'm cleaning the bathrooms at night, I wasn't just going to clean that toilet. I was going to make that toilet sparkle. I wasn't just going to wipe down the divider, the stainless steel divider between the urinals. I wanted to see my reflection in it, because that would be a reflection of how I felt about the opportunity I was given. And so what ended up happening over that year is it was this amazing year for me of really just putting to the test the things that I'd written in the book. And towards the end of that year, I had a speaking contract come through that totally changed everything. And then my business partner came to me and he said, hey, let's buy out that other business partner guy. We'll go get loans and make it work. And will you come back? And we kind of restarted in a way our company in late 2017 and just came off our most profitable year in company history at the end of 2021. And so when I say this stuff, that it's about them and it's leaving them better off and it's making it about them and it's having who you are and what you say be an outward expression of who you really are inside. I'm not saying it because I think it's platitudes and it sounds good and I read it in the book. When I wrote my book, I didn't write a book because I wanted to write a book and have a funnel and market and hopefully somebody would buy the book and I'd end up on Dr. Phil and everybody would give me a high five and tell me I'm really pretty. That was not why I did it. It was about how can I change my kids' lives? How can I change my life? And by writing it from that point, from that standpoint, from that place, it has gone on and had an impact. But I didn't write it to be famous, and I'm likely never going to be famous. And I don't care, because for me, it's about seeking the quiet applause of heaven, not the thunder salvation and the accolades of the crowd and of the world. Because when we live life that way, there's so much more fulfillment, so much more happiness. There's so much more that we can do and accomplish and impact that we can have. And man, it's just been such an incredible journey for me to learn that. But frankly, I've had to learn it the hard way, right? And so now I can look back and say, man, I'm so thankful for that journey, but it wasn't that easy. But now I know these things are true, right? Because I put it to the test.
Wow. I was gonna say I love the flip analogy, because as you've been talking, I'm thinking like, man, there's gratitude in me that I need to flip on a little bit more so it flows out of me. And I think that flip, a light's off, you flip the switch on, and then the light flows into the room, and it's there, it's constant. So I really like that analogy, and dude, that's humbling.
And if I can take the analogy one step further, if you were to walk into a dark room that you've never been in before, and it was all set up for an event, and you had to navigate from one side of the room to the other, and it was totally dark, and you didn't know the layout, it would be pretty difficult to do it without stubbing your toe, bumping a knee, hitting a shin, right? But with the simple flip of a switch, the layout of the room does not change, but your ability to view and navigate it does.
Wow.
And what gratitude does for us is it flips on that light. That's why I call it flip the gratitude switch, because it is flipping something negative into fuel for something better, but it's also all of a sudden shining a light on this thing. Now, all of a sudden, our life doesn't have to change, but how we choose to react to it can. And really what's in the book, as I go through, flip is not just a word and not just an analogy, it's also an acronym. And so flip, the process of flipping the gratitude switch and taking frustrations and difficulties and turning it into fuel for a changed life, it literally goes through FLIP. And that's kind of what I do in the book, is walk people through that so they know kind of how do I have a portable formula to take the things and the frustrations and turn them into something different and turn them into something better. And anyway, it's been a lot of fun, but that is 100% an analogy that resonates with me, is that flipping of the switch, the light comes on. The light is constant. Like you said, we have the ability to navigate things. What once was dark is now light, but that thing didn't have to change, but the way we view it does. It's super applicable to every aspect of our lives, right?
Yeah. I mean, wow, that just is a testament that stories connect people. Because now I feel like, wow, that was an amazing story. Humbling that you went through that. It's almost like a Steve Jobs experience, like out of your company, then later come back to your company
Yes,
and help
except
grow.
with way less money and way less turtlenecks. Yeah,
Yeah.
much less turtlenecks. Yeah. He was good at the black turtleneck though. I mean, he was, you
Yeah.
know, maybe that's what I should do. You know, maybe I should go with the mock turtle. Maybe that's what we should both do, Kev.
Just try it out for at least a couple of weeks. One of the things is I was reading your bio on your website that I resonated with a ton. And same thing with my book. Like I always wanted to write a book. I think it'd be fun. Like, I don't know. I mean, part of it is probably ego and pride for me, but part of the reason was, and I'm sure you can relate to this, you just felt like, how can people go through life not knowing this? You feel almost obligated to share it. Like I
Yes,
can't let people keep living their lives without knowing this.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because when we're given a gift, when we're given truth, when we're given light, when we're given wisdom, knowledge, whatever it is, and we keep that to ourselves, it is such a selfish act. But when we find something that's impactful and game changing, we should feel an obligation to share it with others. It may not be for everybody that they write a book like you and I did. It may be that they simply do it inside of their small interactions throughout the day, right? How often do we take an opportunity? When I say leave people better off, that's not just a sales philosophy. That's a relationship philosophy. I think of my kids. If my kids come up to me, even if it's just a moment, and what if all I do is I wake up every day and I think, how do I leave everybody better off inside of whatever interaction that is? Whether that's a podcast interview, whether that's opening the door for somebody when we go into a store, whether that's my child coming up to me after school and telling me about their day and they're excited. And maybe I don't care about the comic that they drew or whatever, but if I could be engaged and get myself excited about it because it's impactful to them and they feel better off for that interaction, man, that's what it's all about, right? And I think that if we have something that we feel compelled to share, something that's been a truth for us, we can leave people better off for sharing it. We don't have to share it with an agenda other than we simply want to give and serve and give that thing to somebody because we know how awesome and beautiful it is. Then yeah, I think that's important for all of us to do on a regular basis, whether it ends up going into a book, whether we end up keynoting a large conference about it or not. I think that we should be sharing those thoughts and ideas.
Yeah. At the end of the day, money comes and goes, but if you can impact someone's life, I mean, that can be exponential as far as your impact in the world. One of the things as well in your bio, and just like one or two more questions, and I'm so grateful for your time here, but something that hit me hard is when I wrote my book, I was working a full-time job. I was getting a master's of real estate development at the University of Utah. So I had class 3 to 4 nights a week. And I was newly-ish married. So like had to take the rest of the time with my wife. So I literally wrote my book from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Yes,
and
sir.
I saw and here you started doing the same thing, like waking up early, waking up at 4 a.m. 2 questions. What impact did waking up early have on your life? And then how do you do it with kids? Because right now it's like, I mean, I'm just enjoying the journey. I don't know if it's possible to wake up early with a 3-week-old. I'm trying to
because
figure
you're
it
pretty
out.
much up all night anyway, right? So
Yeah, seriously.
yeah. So that came about because do you know a guy by the name of Hal Elrod? Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Miracle Morning.
Yeah, he wrote The Miracle Morning. So he wrote the foreword of my book.
Oh, wow.
And so Hal and I were in a mastermind together and we just hit it off. You want to know where we hit it? We hit it off because both of us had a passion for the song Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice, the classic song. Okay. Yes. When I go speak, I start by rapping and dancing that song with choreography. And nobody expects the tubby white bald kid, middle-aged guy with crow's feet to do that, but we do. So anyway, I love that song. So we were talking about that. We were joking around about it. And so he and I just kind of developed this friendship, and I didn't know what the Miracle Morning was. And because I knew who Hal was and I'd seen what he'd done with his life, I was like, I got to read this guy's book. And so I did, and it changed my life. And I realized that I 100% have the ability to wake up in the morning. And really so like right now, my daughter gets up at 6. So I maybe don't get 3 hours in the morning, but I can wake up at 5. Right? I don't do it every day, but if I can wake up at 5 and I can either, have time to pray or go through the Miracle Morning formula or read or whatever that is, or work out or whatever, it's important that we make time for important things, right? And so for some people, the morning is a great time to do that. With a newborn, it's a little bit difficult, right? I mean, you want to, Hal always talks about winning the day, and you win the day by not silencing your alarm, but you start the day with a victory by rolling over and getting out of bed as hard as it is. And so it really becomes just you have to be resolved. You just have to be resolute and say, I'm going to do this. For me, that was the only time I was going to have to really work hard on the book. And it was a game changer for me. The book that we're working on right now for our real estate company, I don't wake up early to do it because the process of writing is a little bit different. But what I have to do instead, because of the nature of the book and the involvement of a couple parties as we're putting it together, is I have to block out time during the day where that's dedicated time, right? Nothing else happens. The internet goes off, the computer goes off, or not the computer, but the phone goes off or whatever. And then we have that dedicated time to work on those things. And so I think that the important principle for me is there's power in the mornings if you can get it. And you should make whatever effort you can to go get it. But if for whatever reason your life doesn't allow for it, it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 3 hours. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 15 minutes. One of the best things somebody could do for themselves to give themselves time is there's a great app called Headspace. Have you ever heard of that app?
I've heard of it. I've never used it.
It's like a meditation app, right? But it's guided meditations that are just great. They do a really good job with it. And they have meditations that are 5 minutes or 10 minutes. If you could lock your door, pull the shades down, and take 10 minutes to focus on you and sort of get centered, man, that right there can be a difference maker. And so I think that the ability to find time to focus is really, really critical. Sometimes for me, it's late at night too, right? I'll stay at the office late when nobody else is here to try to get some things done. I think it's just to have that time, to have that focus. There's a great book called Deep Work that talks about you got to find these moments where you can go deep. I think that's what's critical, whether that's mornings or not.
Yeah, I love mornings. I am trying to coin the phrase, the morning is a God-given gift to the high achiever. There's just something about like no one else is up.
Yep.
You really have time to work on yourself. I think it's the time when, for me personally in my life, I spent so many years being like, man, I really need to read a book. I really need to listen to Audible. I really need to work out. I really need to read the scriptures. I really need to pray. But during the day, just like stuff hits you like that you don't expect. True. But for the last 6 or 7 years, the morning has been the time when I can get those important but not urgent things done that I had just neglected for so long. So I just liked that you put that in there. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it was a game changer for me in getting the book done for sure. And I think it's, highly recommended that if you're listening out there and you've not given yourself that gift of taking time in the morning. And I used to have to get up at 4 because, the day I needed time and it was hard to get up at 4, but do it. Like if you do it enough and you do it with commitment, it doesn't become hard. It just becomes a blessing.
Yeah, totally. Hey, for those who obviously are listening to this and want to learn more about you and follow you, what is the best way for them to do that?
You could just find me on Instagram. I don't post a ton, but you can connect with me there. It's just at Kevin Clayson. And you could also definitely check out our company, dfy-realestate.com. And another great way is just go to flipthegratitudeswitch.com. It's really easy to buy the book from Amazon or Audible if you just go to flipthegratitudeswitch.com, and there's some good stuff there. And I would say the last way is, if you're listening to this, you're a podcast listener, give our podcast a listen. It's called Replace Your Income. It's primarily principle-based, retirement-focused investing, real estate investing. We have so much fun. I do it with my business partner. It's an easy listen. It's a fun listen. We joke around a ton, but we really hit important life principles and business principles and real estate principles. So you can check me out at Replace Your Income, website for the company, dfy-realestate.com, or you could go to flipthegratitudeswitch.com and get a copy of the book, or connect with me on Instagram at Kevin Clayson.
Awesome. I love it. I'm going to order a copy of your book.
Oh, dude, you're too nice. You don't have to. I could just send you one.
Hey, last question. One of my favorite, or probably my favorite question. I'm biased though. What does the fight against mediocrity mean to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the fight against mediocrity to me is the fight against sort of the natural tendencies that we have to pull back and not give the required effort, right? I've got a quote on my computer that I love, and it says, it's from a guy who I have a lot of respect for named Russell Nelson. He's a medical doctor, and also happens to be the president of a church that I'm a member of. And it says,
medical doctor.
It says, the Lord loves effort because effort brings rewards that can't come without it. And I think you could say the fight against mediocrity, because the fight against mediocrity will bring rewards that cannot come without it. And so for me, it's to do that little extra thing, right? It's to take those 10 minutes in the middle of the day to do a little meditation sesh, or to open a book and read a few pages. It's that moment in the day when you want to default to anger, but instead you choose love. It's that moment in the day when you want to be, kind of shake your fist at the heavens because something didn't go your way, but instead you choose to find something to be thankful for embedded in that frustration. It's those little, seemingly unremarkable things that we do that compound over time to eliminate mediocrity and create something extraordinary. A lot of people think I've got to hit a home run. And I say, no, you don't. You just go hit a bunch of singles. It's not about one big win. It's about a ton of little micro wins that seem insignificant, but with those, they will create an unbelievable life. And so for me, that's what the fight against mediocrity is picking those moments and giving that little extra effort that nobody else would be willing to give, or very few people will. And then you get to watch how it shapes and shifts your life bit by bit, day by day.
I love that. That is a phenomenal answer. I agree 100%. It's couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being on the podcast. It's been phenomenal to get to know you. I really appreciate it. This is one I'm going to listen to again and again. So thank you so much.
Well, no, I have you to thank. Thank you for letting me come and be here. If you guys are listening right now, thank you for tuning in and listening. You should tell all your friends about Kevin's podcast, not mine, his, because this is a great show and it's doing really, really good work. And so thank you for having me and for giving me a microphone and time. That's such a precious gift. And so thank you for sharing your audience with me and letting me come and hang out a little bit. You're a gift to this world, man. I appreciate you.
Back at you. Thank you.